knowledge that you gain. It's gonna hurt my nigga. R.I.P. Dr. Say. I think they murked my nigga. I beat the stars like astrologers. Yeah. We hit the club and demolish it. Yeah. That jury shine like a pilot. Okay. Plugged in like a fire stick. We screaming R.I.P. Malcolm.
Peace, family. This video right here is about the science of a sound mind. Okay? Now, let's just get right into it. Okay? What is sound? Sound is an electromagnetic frequency that carries information. Everything makes a sound. Excuse me. Everything makes a sound. Whether you can hear it or not. Your ears are only designed to hear within a certain range of sound frequency. But that doesn't mean things don't make sounds. You can't hear the sun. You can't hear the spheres in the solar system. But they make a sound. Okay? People say, if a tree falls in the forest and you don't hear it, did it make it? Yes, it made a sound. And this is where feeling comes in. Because I can't hear it, but I can still feel it. And so emotions are sounds. What are they? This is where telepathy comes in. Huh? I'm going to say that. I'm going to give you one more Jew before I get back on my point. Because I'm stepping on the side to give you a Jew to unlock your power. Emotions are sounds. They're messages. It's up to you to decode the message and digest the information. Huh? Telepathy is not something you do with your mind. It's something you do with your heart and then process in your mind. But I'm going to leave it right there. And coming back to on point, right? Everything makes a sound. Animals, trees, air, everything. This camera, the desk. If it vibrates, it makes a sound. It's up to you to be able to bioenergetically absorb that frequency and see what it's telling you. So the reason some people don't know how to listen is because they don't know how to hear. And the reason that some people don't know how to hear is because they don't know how to listen. And so with that being said, you have one sense, not five. You have one. Your electromagnetic field. Everything has to touch you before you process that data. Oxygen molecules, gases have to touch your nasal passageways and your nasal hairs before your brain calculates smell. Taste, a physical atom has to touch your tongue in order for you to process taste. Hearing, sound waves have to go into your eardrum and touch the bones in your ears and touch your skull for your skeleton to process sound. Light, eyes, photons have to hit your retina and be converted into electrical signals and sent to the back of the brain into the section of the brain that deals with optical vision. Then your brain has to process those signals and then refract that signal back out for you to process vision. So without being touched, you cannot have any sense of sense. So I'm sorry, once again, no disrespect to white people, but I'm sorry that white people lied to you. Okay, there's really only one sense, but which is your mind, which is your electromagnetic field. And this is an understanding we had before we were uncivilized by uncivilized people who told us they were civilizing us. But coming back on point, right? Dealing back with the science of a sound mind. Sound is internal and external. Okay? Now you might say, Pharao, why are you always talking about internal and external? The internal is something that a specific group of people don't talk about because from my personal studies, they don't possess an internal. But that's just my personal studies and opinions, and I'll debate that with anybody, but to each his own. So I'm going to just keep it universal. The internal is important because the internal part of yourself is the part of yourself that you produce. It's the part of yourself that you self-sufficient, where you're supposed to be self-sufficient. So for example, externally, we looking for love, right? But if we never get that love, yes, it's going to affect us because every cause has an effect. But it should never affect us to the point where we destroy because we should have been giving ourselves love the whole goddamn time. Externally, yes, it's nice if somebody else thinks for you. But if nobody else thinks for you, you shouldn't become an idiotic moron because internally you should have been thinking for yourself the whole time. So there is a duality to reality at all times. It's the world you live in, and then it's the world outside you that we all live in. And that we all create from universal projections of the world that we all live in. And may the greatest world win. And may the greatest mind win. And with that being said, let's come back to the science of being mentally sound, right? Why are you not sound? And I'm writing a lot of books. I'm writing a book. It's about to be the hardest psychology book in the world. So I won't go too deep. And Pharao Island University should be done, if not this week, next week, and we taking off. So I'm gonna say this, right? Remember when we used to go to the doctor and they used to say, are you mentally sound? They don't say that no more. You know why? Because sound determines health. If your body is not in a proper harmonic pitch, you're not healthy. If your brain falls below 72 megahertz frequency, the specific sound waves of your brain, you're not mentally healthy. So your body is nothing but a song that is either in tune or out of tune with its own self. Period. Now you might say, why is this important, right? Let's put ourselves through a process. I don't know where you live, so apply this to whoever you are as an individual. You wake up in the morning, right? And you get out of bed. What do you hear? What do you hear? You hear two things. You hear whatever is going on in your mind, and then you hear whatever is being placed into your mind. So you hear the internal sounds that you creating in your own mind, and then you hear the external sounds that other people are creating outside of their own minds that you are experiencing. So now why is this important, right? It's 1 million people that you heard your whole life, whether you realize it or not. Let me give you an example. If you walk through the mall, you're not really focused on other conversations. So it all just sounds like, and it just sounds like a bunch of noise, a wall of noise. But if you be quiet and you focus on a conversation, you can tune in. So now why is this important? Your subconscious mind has been tuning into people's voices your whole life. However old you are, that's how many conversations you've heard. Now here's the question. Who you listening to? Who has captured your mind to the point where you no longer listening to the conversation you should be having with your own self? Who is guiding you? Because the only person you should ever be really following in all seriousness is you. Who you listening to? Who gave you that bad advice that you've been following for 10, 15 years? Your mama? Probably. Your dad? Probably. The nigga up the street? Probably. Huh? Your friend that's really a hater, but you don't see it because because you're not paying attention to the parts of you that will be able to see that? Probably. So we have to ask ourselves, who are you listening to? And depending upon your answer, from this point on, you ain't been mentally sound. And I said this on Instagram, I'm going to say it again right now. If you are listening to any other voice besides the one that's outside your head, you are crazy. Period. I don't want to hear it. I'm not arguing with you. And I'm not saying that if you tell yourself 1 plus 1 is 3, and I'm saying 1 plus 1 is 2, then I'm crazy. No, I'm not. Let's be logical here. Let's be adults. Math is math. Science, I'm not talking about that. Let's be mature adults here. Where you want to go, the person you supposed to become, the part of yourself that's your job, your duty, your responsibility that couldn't nobody else take on that responsibility if we wanted to, because that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do with your own free will. That's the part of yourself I'm talking about. Who is that part of yourself listening to? If that part of yourself is allowing somebody else or something else to tell it what to become, you crazy. Period. I'm not arguing with you about that. Period. Period. If you telling yourself, when I grow up or I am growing up and this is the person I want to become, and you allowing rappers, NBA players, football players, and all of these other people to steer you in another direction, you allowing white politicians that we've never met a day in our life to steer you in another direction, nigga, you crazy. And you in the matrix. And you so far in the matrix didn't even think you would be that far within it. So with that being said, you have an inner voice and you have outer voices. Whose voice is the loudest in your life? The voice in your head should always be the loudest in your life. Until another voice or sound wave comes along and ascends you even more. A more intelligent, louder voice. Huh? A more intelligent, wiser voice. Huh? That doesn't come take your power, but gives you power to become a more intelligent, wiser, louder voice. See where I'm going with this? So, this is the whole understanding and science of being mentally sound. A lot of y'all lives are chaotic because your mind is chaotic. Now you might say, Pharao, why is this important? This is why y'all don't want to deal with reality. And this is why a lot of y'all are out of your minds. Because you're being driven out of your mind. You know why you know how you being driven out of your mind? Because you're not the one driving your mind. Huh? Let me give you an example. Invaders. An invader can drive you out of your village. Huh? Because there's too many of them. If it's 50 of us and we see 1,000 people coming, we got to dip. We got to retreat. Let them have it. We got to go set up shop. So we got driven out of our home. Your mind is the only place that you truly live. And you being driven out of your mind because it's being invaded by constant sounds and voices of other people that you don't know, never met, never want to see, don't care about you, don't love you, don't have no positive interest in or intentions for you, but they constantly sending you messages and you constantly listening. And now you getting 50, imagine your phone, right? Imagine if you got 50,000 messages every 5 minutes to your phone. You would have to put your phone down and go get a new, you wouldn't even be able to use it because it's getting too many messages. How can you use your mind when you're getting all of these goddamn messages your whole life? Huh? Especially if you black. Especially if you black. I ain't got to go there. You know exactly what I'm, especially if you black. How can you use your mind if you being driven out this motherfucker? You don't even got time to think. And then when you do got time to think, it's a million people in your ear. Friends, family, TV, music, neighbors, school, police, end of the world, COVID, bullshit, all kind. What? How can you use your mind? So you're being driven crazy. Huh? Don't believe me? Go home. If you're not home watching this, get 5 different speakers. Turn on 5 different motherfucking songs. And don't even just do hip-hop. Cut on hip-hop, country, rock, heavy motherfucking rock, and pick another one. And see what happens to your mind. You're going to say, damn, I can't even think. I can't even think. That's what's happening to your real life. But you want to know the difference? You grew up in an environment where you could not think. So you learn how to exist without your mind, without your voice. You don't have a voice. See, when people say it's important to have a voice, the voice is the one in your head. I don't have to say nothing to nobody as long as I know what's going on in my mind. So you grew up in an environment where you never used something because you never seen the value of it because you never seen it. Because you was driven out of it from the gate. But right now, if you do that, you'll say, damn, I can't even think. But you don't realize that the same position you putting yourself in now with that experiment is the same position you was born into your whole life. You was born into chaos. You was born into frequency overload on your brain. Soon as you come out the womb, shit just sending you messages in your mind. And now you being driven out of your mind. And you don't want to face reality because you can't make what? What? Sense of it. You can't make sense of it. You can't make sense of how you think because you can't make sense of how you feel. Because you don't realize, like I said years ago, your heart talk to your brain don't talk to your heart. It's called neurocardiology. This is why the Egyptians weigh the heart. Huh? The state of emotion that you in is the state of thought that you in. And what you feel like determines what you think like. When you angry, you think different versus if you happy. Huh? So it's a different side of yourself when you're angry versus the side of yourself that comes out when you're happy. So let's take that understanding and apply it. Your whole life, you've been being overwhelmed and overloaded with messages, aka feelings, aka emotions. And these messages and emotions are physical frequencies. They actually exist. And you might say, Pharao, why is this important? By you not dealing with them, guess what happens? They get tangled up. And they get all caught up. And they get all strung up. And now this right here was anger. But anger got twisted into happiness. And then that got twisted into this. And next thing you know, you got a big ass yarn ball in your heart of 20 years worth of shit that you don't want to deal with. Because you don't want to even deal with your mind. Because every time you try, you can't make sense of it. So this is why it's time to start unraveling yourself. This is why it's time to tell people, shut the fuck up, back up, and give me time to think. And let me ask myself, why am I angry? Oh, that's not no legitimate shit to be angry about. Let me let that go. That's one piece of yarn. Damn, why am I happy? This ain't really no shit to be happy about. This is stupid. But let me let that go. Oh, why am I this way? Oh, this ain't really no way to behave. They lied to me. Let me let that go. And you got to start unraveling the yarn that's in your heart. So you can start unraveling the shit that's in your mind. And then once you get all of these feelings out of your heart, you'll get all of the sounds out of your mind. And then you'll come back to the genuine feeling that you are supposed to have. I don't know who the fuck you are, but I know that it's something in you that's genuinely supposed to be there, and it's something in you that's genuinely not. And you got to get rid of the shit that's genuinely not supposed to be there and find what's genuinely supposed to be there. And when you find what's genuinely supposed to be in your heart, on my life, you're going to find your superpower. And that shit going to activate your mind. And that sound is going to become so loud in your mind. And that voice, that ancestral voice, is going to be channeling so loud in your mind that now when other sounds come, you'll process them for what they are and let them go. And so with that being said, I hope that this video has influenced you to seek a sound mind. Nothing more, nothing less. And with that being said, I love y'all. Peace.
Nothing but pressure for these niggas. You feel me? Pharo's. Heard you out here trying to make America great again. Well, how about we make the streets militant again? Fall in line, nigga. And follow orders. Peace family, welcome to YoungPharaoh.net. Subscribe now for all of my latest lectures, interviews, as well as my entire body of work. Because in the words of General Seti, I'm just too raw for YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, enter the promo code YouTubeYP for $5 off your first subscription. Also for products and brand promotion, contact me on Instagram or YouTube or any of my other social media platforms. Speaking of platforms, my music is available on all platforms now. And so with that being said, family, as I grow, I want y'all to continue to grow with me. And I look forward to hearing from each and every one of y'all as y'all continue to follow me on Instagram at Pharao_Otten, Twitter at Pharao_Otten_, Facebook at Young Pharoah, as well as all of my YouTube channels, my main one being Young Pharoah. And also, family, don't forget to follow me on Snapchat at Pharao_Otten. And with that being said, I love y'all. Peace.